One man saying that is fine. If that's your opinion and you're not in it, that's fine. But there is an entire market of millions and millions of people that agree that it is a store of value. So, you can think one thing, but there's also a market, and markets tend to become efficient over time.
We do know that you will always get paid in Hex on a daily basis. And that is truly the miracle that we call Hex, because it is trustless interest, trustless yield. Nothing will stop that contract from running.
You got to lose to know how to win. Welcome, everybody, to the Creed of Crypto. I am Blippi Boy Crypto tonight. Here, as always, with my friend and co-host Crypto Ewok. Welcome to everybody in the chat. We've got Hex, yes. We've got Tam. We got Valiant Low Key, Scrubhead, Iconoclast, Mike Crypt, The Rat, Degen Hexagon, Vuck V. I got to be careful with that one. Checks my pulse, and a lot. Yeah, a nice little variety of people here this evening. So welcome in to everybody. We got a big show for you tonight. Will summer bring the pump for PulseChain? Despite, I don't know where you folks live, but for those of you in the northeastern United States, it certainly doesn't feel like summer. But if it does anytime soon, will we get any kind of a crypto pump, and more specifically, a PulseChain pump here this summer? May has been decent so far for crypto. We're seeing Bitcoin, of course, move up. Ethereum finally looking kind of not dead, and some other stuff. So we got that to get to. Some announcements from Trump over the last couple of days with a Bitcoin treasury. We've got a lot of stablecoin stuff going on with the freezing of assets and locking out of certain accounts that USDC and Tether just have type stuff going on. We got Sui hacked last week, one of their exchanges, which is going to be pretty interesting. Curve Finance has some issues, and RH has been doing some speaking. So we got a lot to get to tonight. We want to hear from you guys as well, so hit us up in the chat. We appreciate you being here. Ewok, how are you this fine Wednesday evening?
It's been dreary, cold, but other than that, I'm doing well. There's not much to speak of. I think things have been actually kind of boring. I mean, we do have some things to talk about, but our ecosystem has been, just somewhat blah lately, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a good time to step away from it and catch a breath and prepare for what's about to come.
Yes, I think so too. Am I freezing again or something? Are we having a little bit of a delay or something like that?
No, I think you're okay. You did a little bit on the intro, but you're good.
Okay.
Awesome.
We're good.
Yeah, you're good.
So yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat. We appreciate you guys being here. Let's start off with just looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum and where we're at right now. So BTC, it's been hovering still over that 100K mark, looking pretty good. We have Bitcoin right now at a little over 106K, 100, back over 107. So we've seen a little bit of volatility today. Nothing that crazy. Ethereum at about 2650. And it's been hanging out in that area as well, trying to make little incremental moves against Bitcoin. But yeah, looking pretty positive as of late. We had some interesting things happen over the course of the last week, just narrative-wise for kind of short-term traders. We had Trump, of course, come out with, likely another negotiating tactic, talking about a 50% tariff on the EU, and everybody starts tanking the market that day. I think that was towards the end of last week. And then, of course, at the beginning of this week, we have him saying, just kidding. It's going to be delayed until July the 9th, I think, or something like that. So you're seeing that volatility go up and down with some of the things that he says as usual. But where do you make with where we're at in the cycle right now, Ewok? How Ethereum has been holding up a bit, and kind of a recap of May, because a lot of people were hoping for bullishness in May, and we did pretty much get it. I mean, maybe not anything insane for Ethereum, but it was a pretty good month.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still seeing some strength out of everything, really. Bitcoin's doing its thing, stair stepping up, taking a break, stair stepping up, taking a break. I think that will continue throughout throughout the summer, little stair steps until it actually goes parabolic. For ETH, it looks like we're forming a really nice bull flag here. I didn't draw any lines on here, but you can clearly see when it goes up and then consolidates in this and it starts to get a little bit tighter each time. That's exactly the formation that you're looking for before it makes its next move. So, we could do a little drawing of some lines here to kind of see when it may, play out here. But as far as that goes, things are starting to fall into place. So, I mean, probably in here. So end of June or beginning of June, I'm sorry, before it decides to take its next step. We don't have long. There's only a few more days to kind of play out if that's the flag that we're going to look at. So, yeah, I think things are looking really good. Consolidation pattern, bull flag, before it makes its next move up, and I anticipate it, almost as high. You measure that from, what is it, 2,500 down to the last move, which was 1,800. That could put us up here in the high 3,000s or mid 3,000s anyway, for the next move up, which is pretty exciting to see. We do need to get back up over this old trend line that we have here from way back. But yeah, I mean, for right now, things are still looking pretty decent. If we look at the ratio, it's still right at 0.02, 0.024. So that's not really doing anything exciting. You almost have a bull flag here about to print too, but it looks much better than this constant downturn anyway. So it is something to look forward to.
Yeah, it is. And kind of leads me to this question. And part of the theme of the show tonight is how crypto has performed in various like summertime environments, especially in bull markets. So just kind of your history being through a couple of bull markets really now, Ewok, and maybe we could even just for a second look back at maybe summer of 2021. I mean, anybody that was here kind of throughout that year knows that we had a double top for Bitcoin anyway in May of 21 and then again in November of 21 where it went to 65 and 68, 69K or so. But just kind of how those summers looked, not just for Bitcoin, but also for alts. I know that Solana ran very hard summer of 2021 and Ethereum likely as well. And then even back to 2017, which not many people can probably even remember at this point, it was a little bit different. I mean, and we've compared this cycle, not to get like way too into the weeds on a million angles of this, but a lot of people have compared this cycle more so to 2017, which that
Right.
was more of, I don't want to say a flat line, but Bitcoin going parabolic at the end of the year, whereas 21 was more of a consistent up down. But yeah, just kind of what do you think we can expect in the summer months here, June, July, August, maybe even into September, for not just Bitcoin, but really ETH and alts, which we're all most concerned with?
Well, and I've been saying that for a while. This really reminds me of more where we're at in this is reminding me more of 2017, where April, May, I mean, it started to go up. It cooled off June, July, and then I guess it was September that it really started to take off. That's when it finished making its run all the way up to about 20,000. But it went from 4,000 in September all the way to 20,000, which was, obviously almost a 5x. So that was a hell of a run there at the end of the year. But again, it didn't start until September. It made a nice little run up here. It was only in April, it was only $1,100. It dipped actually down to like the low here was about 900 back in March and April. So this is reminding me of kind of where we're at in this cycle, more so than what 2022 is. Because if we look at 2022, it took off. Wait, where are we at? Yeah, so it was. Wait a second, where are we at? 2021. It topped in April the first time at 65. It started to take off in October and really went parabolic. So that run started back in March. So I think we're further along than what the 2021 one was. And then for the summer of that year, it didn't do much. Like it was at 65. It went the whole way back down to 29 and then made its second top up at about 68. And that was between July and November then again. So again, I see us more looking like the 2017 cycle than anything, just because of where we're at in the year for what's kind of happening. So like I said, I expect the summer to be a little kind of blah consolidation. And then, August, September, I look for it to really start to break out. So, and then, altcoins will be followed by that. And that's why people are thinking it could roll over into 2026 a little bit, till everything plays out. Moves over to Ethereum, which has always been around 28 days later for the top of that after the Bitcoin top. And then from there, it rolls over into the altcoins. So, yeah, I mean, I could see it playing into January-ish a little bit. But, I don't see it going deep into 2026 like I've heard some other people say.
Well, a great segue naturally by you because Sun God RA did ask this a minute ago. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum continue going up beyond end of year. And those are two different things. And you kind of just illustrated that. There have been people, like we saw that clip the other day, and I know Patrick Bet-David's been saying this 2026 stuff for a while, but he's also kind of just well, I'll just keep my thoughts to myself. But there's a difference between crypto running the entirety of 2026 and totally breaking 4-year cycles and, totally different from anything before, and just kind of lasting into 2026 a bit, maybe even as far as towards the end of the first quarter, and maybe not even just Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum and altcoins, but there is growing sentiment of that possibility. And I think the simple reason is just that Ethereum's done nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that we've seen really no progress. I mean, we're going to end May with Ethereum still 50% down from its all-time high.
Sure.
So that's likely why a lot of people are starting to move the goalpost to 2026. But I'm not saying that that's a negative thing. I think that there is a real possibility of that because we've seen other things. I was talking to you guys the other day, like Sami has been talking a lot about the business ISM cycle, which I know there's a lot of indicators and these type of things you can look at, but it's never been this negative this many months in a row, like in its history or in a very long time. Like we've had, I don't even know how many red months in a row. So there's a lot of things that could point to that. We had a unique cycle last time, of course, with like money being printed left and right after the pandemic and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, I could certainly see some things running into 2026. Axis Alive has been on our show talking about a lot. I've seen he's been posting about it here and there a bit lately. But what chances do you give? Let's try to make this simple. That one of the blue chip assets that controls this overall market, Bitcoin or Ethereum, is making an all-time high in 2026 as a continuation of this cycle. What do you think the chances of that are?
I think honestly what's happening is people forget how quickly things can run and how parabolic they can go in a very short period of time. So people are kind of getting in a weird state of mind right now because things aren't happening. I mean, Bitcoin is running, it's doing its thing. But there's been predictions. I think Richard even had mentioned one point about 230,000. Was kind of one of his early predictions for a top. these things can run quickly within 4 to 8 weeks. It doesn't take long, and I think people are getting a little bit of lackadaisical about things, and um, and they forget how quickly it can go. So my thought is, no, it probably won't go. I think they'll make their top this year sometime. The altcoins could trickle over a little bit. That's just my opinion of what's going to happen, but I still think we see a top sometime November, December. And then you do have a little bit of carryover into some altcoins. Some things will run a little bit later, but as far as Bitcoin and Ethereum go, I think we will see the top this year. It's just, just the way things are looking in my point of view anyway.
Well, I mean, yeah, and that is kind of markets. I mean, it's not as if we're going to hit an all-time high and then the calendar flips to 2026 and everything just does a complete nosedive. Like even, you know, and this is where people do have to be careful, like in 2021, because many, I mean, tons of people got trapped. I mean, most of the chat here, me, many of us, yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, a lot of people you get trapped. And there was a lot of people last time around, even after a huge breakdown of BTC in December of 2021, still saying, oh, we're still in the bull market. Wait until April of 2021 or 2 at that point.
Yeah. And it was over.
It was over. It was.
So over. I think that's why we almost have to be prepared for it, not expect it. It's the same until it isn't. And, unfortunately, we don't have a crystal ball to tell when it isn't. Now, yes, markets are a little bit different. You've got ETFs coming into play. You've got Nagabo, nothing. His magic 8 ball is no better than mine. But anyway, you've got the ETFs coming into play. What tends to happen is you still have the cycle the way it is. You just don't get the massive dips, right? The first cycle, Bitcoin went down 95%. The second cycle, maybe 90. Third cycle was probably only about 85. So, we're looking at lower breakdown, lower amounts that it retraces. But, you still have the cycle that still works. So same with Ethereum. It's been really, really weird this cycle, though. So it's hard to say, but it could retrace a lot less because there is more influx of capital investment. The companies that are putting bigger stakes into this, the ETFs that are playing out, they hold up a little bit better. It's the small little ones like Hex and PulseChain and things like that are still starting out. That PulseChain will probably do a 95 to 98% drop from its top. Hex may not fare too bad. It could only do 90% this time. It's still going to drop. I mean, these are the things that you have to kind of plan for. And as they, get maturity in the markets, there are more people that hold it. There are more people that lose their keys. There are more people that just aren't going to sell, and they're not ready to sell yet at certain levels. The ones that are staked out, there's still a lot of Hex out there that people don't want to touch it yet. So all these scenarios kind of lend to that theory, I think. But I still think that people forget how quickly things can go parabolic and really run and get away, and it just snowballs, and people are jumping in left and right. That's when you got everybody talking about it and all this crazy stuff happening, and your taxi drivers telling you to get into Dogecoin and all this, it just gets nuts. And that's when the parabolic runs happen.
Well, it remains to be seen, but a lot of interesting possibilities for sure over the next 6 months. So that is kind of where we're at with Bitcoin and Ethereum. If you guys are enjoying the show so far, do us a favor, hit the like. We appreciate you all being here. We do this every Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going to answer the question now of Shadow Band for Life. Ewok, when do you think the RH ecosystem properly pumps? And I guess we'll have to define properly, but looking at the PulseChain ecosystem right now, as we've got it up, we have Pulse at 4 zeros and a 384, a little bit of a dip over the course of today, down 6% for the day, kind of moving with the market. Pulse X 4 zeros 348. We have incentive token at $1.76. Hex at 00766, and eHex at 00228, essentially. So yeah, just a slight pullback, and we've still been consolidating around this area for Pulse for a couple of weeks now. And this has been kind of we've been talking about this area as a key area to try to smash through. So far, we've kind of seen sell-offs right at about that 4042 mark. It seems like that's about as the local high that we've sniffed before coming back down. So if you want to take a quick look at Pulse, and then we can talk on a grander scale, as Shadowband asked here, when do you think we start to pump in earnest, or do we ever? I saw a tweet by somebody the other day. I think it was Hans Crypto, Hansi, whatever. He's
Hans.
a charter guy. Yeah, Hans. He speculated. He didn't think that Ethereum's going to get to $4,000 this cycle again. So that was interesting. But I'm curious when you think this ecosystem would pump, what it's going to take, and what it may look like.
Well, let's pull up the old chart here. I mean, I really think it's going to take Ethereum, obviously, to do its thing, and whenever that happens, I mean, we can't. Yeah. We're not going to. I don't think we're going to get ahead of it. I don't think you're going to see this ecosystem run before anything else. There may be some front runners, some larger investors that see and want to front run what may happen. But I really think that the large sums of money will get rotated into the smaller cap coins, like PulseChain, like the some of the layer 2 things that are out there. I think the play on it will be once Bitcoin tops, once Ethereum tops, that's when the big moves really start to happen. So I don't see I don't see it until December, probably, a major run for any of the RH ecosystem. Now, because the eHex price is tied heavily still to Ethereum, I don't know how much liquidity is bonding that together, but a nice run on Ethereum could bring up the eHex price just on that fact alone, that they're paired together with a lot of Ethereum. So, that could help it. The rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing. But I really don't see a whole lot of other than just standard action of, we are going to see an increase, but I don't think you'll see a parabolic run on any of this stuff, at least until Ethereum gets heavy into its cycle. So
interesting to say. And I just wonder what that would look like for you leading up to that point. Like you talked about not pumping till December in earnest. I mean, usually there'll be some kind of clues of something coming prior to that. I'm just wondering what you think that looks like heading up, or are we literally at this price until December?
No. I mean, I think we'll see slight increases. I think we'll see a little bit of a staircase like we're seeing now. Obviously, moves like this one and then a pullback, and then you get this one and then a pullback, and we could stair step up. We could get up to probably sacrifice level by August or so. I still think that's possible, but I'm talking about the parabolic run. When you look at when you look at the, let's try and see if we can see the Hex run of last year and how quickly it happened, or last cycle, not last cycle. Year, but when it went, why are we really struggling here? Oh, this only goes back to June. All right, let's pull up what is it, Hex chart.com. Here we go.
Shout out RH.
So you
Max, had Crypto 7 in the chat. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're all right. So this is, here we go. Back here's what we're looking for. And when it went from, you had this stair step here. Am I sharing the right screen? Yeah, I am. Okay. When you have the stair step up, in July, you had the run up, and then you had another pullback to August, and it ran up a little. The run really didn't start until late August. I guess you could call it back here even early August, August 10th. But from August 10th till September 19th, it went from 10 cents to 50 cents. So that was only a month. People don't realize how quickly that happened. Obviously we had a staircase up. It started in, November, December. It ran up a little bit. It got up to 5 cents in May, up to 16 cents, pulled back to 10 cents here in August, and then did its final run within the last month. So it went from 10 cents, it 4x'd in a month on that last run up. So, again, I still think we can stair step up like we did before, depending on the major players injecting a little bit, creating some excitement. But you are still going to see, I forget where that image was. I had it saved somewhere of how many pullbacks and what the percentage of them were the whole length of this. We've measured them out before and talked about how they run up and then they do a 50-60% pullback, and they run up and they do a 70% pullback, and they run up and you might see a 40% pullback. So you're going to see that the whole way, which it sketches people out, right? Because I think it doubled every, what was it? It averaged from the start. I think it averaged, was it 40 days? Every 40 days it doubled in price throughout the whole course of the run. But people often forget how many 40 and 60 and 70% pullbacks there were along the way. So buckle up. It's going to get bumpy. It's going to be fun. It's going to get interesting, but it'll be quite the ride.
Buckle up, buckaroo, for sure. If PulseChain can do anything even remotely similar to what Hex did, and honestly, I'm not even expecting that. I don't know how many are expecting quite those kind of gains, but luckily, I don't think if you've been here for a long time and been hardcore DCing into the market, I don't think you even need those kind of gains to get to where your goals may be. So, we'll see how things go. And I know like a lot of people over the last few weeks and stuff have had this anxiety of like, okay, we're into 2025 now. We're nearly halfway through the year. We're still not even at sack rate. We're more than halfway down from that still. Maybe your portfolio is nowhere near even your cost basis yet or anything. And you're getting that anxiety like, man, the year, like the cycle is going to be over. But I think Ewok just did a good job there. And we've seen it in cycles past that like, there's a very condensed window where these things can pump ridiculously that make no sense. Like as much as things have made 0 sense for you for the past 4 or 5 years to the downside, believe it or not, eventually, if we just are psychotic enough, we may get to experience that nonsensical move to the upside. It just may be way more condensed. I mean, we've talked about it before on the show. I mean, it's basically like 3.5 year bear market, if you want to call it that, or just, not, nothing crazy, and then something good for a few months. And it's being here that whole time. You can't just like know when those 3 months are going to happen and dump it all in. You have to be here and get kicked in the teeth over and over and over again.
A couple times. And if you aren't in from the beginning, like I said, on the smaller stair steps, you're going to miss several X's along the way that are more stair-stepped. You could potentially trying to get in and trying to time just before that run up is quite risky, and you're going to probably lose, I don't know, 3-4x of your position. And when something does a 10,000x and you miss 3 or 4x of it, that's a lot, right? I mean, you may only get 500, 700x potentially if you're missing out on the early part of the run, and that's why we still suggest DCAing along the way. And for those who have, I think you'll be well rewarded for it.
Yeah, agree. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with the PulseChain prices. Things looking good, just having a mild pullback right now. I don't think that we need to really cover some of this Trump news with the EU. I mean, we already kind of said it. It's just another one of these tariff bluffs, and then he goes back on it, and we'll see how the market shakes out. I kind of want to go to this because I don't know how much we're going to get to tonight, and this was go ahead.
Well, I was going to say there was a threat of a $22 billion tariff placed on Apple. I don't know if you heard that or not. Trying to get them to bring things back to California to do manufacturing from here. Don't know how much of that will play through. Don't know if we'll see the next iPhone at $3,000 because of it, or how that will play out. But you know, I thought that was quite interesting that he, you know, went to Apple and said, listen, you guys are going to face tariff if you keep making things over and wherever they're at, Singapore, Vietnam. I forget where they're actually produced, in what sweatshop they're done. But sure. Yeah, it's interesting. So we'll see how that plays out. And it could bring a lot of jobs back to the United States too, if they follow through.
Well, real quick, we could just tie in with that. We don't have to talk about the EU thing, but I sent you the one post that kind of delved into detail about it. But Trump announcing the Bitcoin treasury, the $2.5 billion Bitcoin treasury deal. I sent you a post of, and what you make of that. I mean, obviously, you know, you couple stuff like that with the Bitcoin ETF already being around for the first time ever this cycle, the Ethereum ETF being around for the first time ever, although it seems to be doing nothing. And now this. Well, that's the EU thing. I was talking about the treasury deal thing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I sent you the treasury thing too, I believe. Looks a little different than that. You're muted right now. Sorry, I didn't realize you were talking.
Didn't realize I was muted either.
I didn't
not seeing it actually. I opened them all. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Okay. I found it.
Okay, there we go. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read that or not.
I can try and zoom in a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know how good it's gonna. Whoa. Okay, I'll do my best. I feel like I'm at the eye doctor. Trump Media and Technology Group, Core, Nasdaq, NYSE, Texas. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to read this very well. But essentially, they've announced a $2.5 billion Bitcoin treasury deal. So I'm just wondering. I mean, we've seen so many pieces of bullish news for Bitcoin, crypto as a whole, from this administration so far. And just lately with Bitcoin, again, it seems like the price is actually starting to catch up with a lot of the good policy. Obviously, we're seeing the changing of the guard at the SEC, and all those cases have been dropped, or in our case, and Richard Hart defeated the SEC. But yeah, how bullish of a thing do you think that this is? And is this one of those catalysts that, again, maybe like people are starting to temper their expectations so much with Bitcoin this cycle, and not to have the same conversation we already did again, but they're starting to temper their expectations to like 130, 150K BTC, and definitely not moving into 2026. I mean, I just wonder if this could be another catalyst of maybe this thing running hotter than some expect, maybe even reaching, in Bitcoin's case, that RH target, or what he mentioned before, of like 240K, which would be amazing for all of us. Yeah. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's bullish. It's not this is Trump Media, right? So it's a private company. I don't think, you know, the government still is not on board. However, I did hear what's her name? Not Kathy Wood. Shoot, I forget who was speaking at the Bitcoin conference. Either way, it was one of the lawmakers or one of the Congress people that was mentioning about how we may be wanting to move into where the United States has about 5% of the gold supply, or supposedly anyway. We still haven't seen a a Fort Knox audit yet. However,
I think 7's right here. Cynthia Loomis.
Yes, that's who it was. She was mentioning about how because of that, the United States should probably own 5% of the Bitcoin supply as well, as a reserve. Now, it was thrown out there, but again, when things get thrown out there like that, it's just like the uncertainty too, where people kind of freak out a little bit. Well, when you hear Loomis saying these things, people may try to front run that too. So it is bullish, and it could lead to some definite pumpage anyway, some pumpamentals, and it could trigger some things. Now, I don't know what kind of date this was. I didn't really read through this. The offering is expected to close on or about May 29th, subject to satisfaction of customary closing conditions. I can go ahead and read this. So it says the company intends to use proceeds for the creation of the Bitcoin treasury, one of the largest Bitcoin treasury deals of any public company. The move closes Trump's media previously announced special acquisition fund, which is one of numerous ways, including through potential mergers and acquisitions. The company is aiming to expand its reach throughout America First economy. So, Trump Media CEO Devin Nunes said, "We view Bitcoin as an apex instrument of financial freedom, and now that Trump Media will hold cryptocurrency as a crucial part of our assets, our first acquisition of crown jewel asset, this investment will help defend our company against harassment and discrimination by financial institutions which plague many Americans and U.S. firms, and will create synergies for subscription payments, a utility token, other planned transactions across Truth Social and Truth Plus. It's a big step forward in the company's plans to evolve into a holding company by acquiring additional profit-generating crown jewel assets consistent with America First principles." So there you go.
Sounds good.
It sounds good. It sounds good. We'll see how things follow through. But I mean, somebody who else said, so I saw BlackRock's name over here too. When these guys all start competing, who can hold more, who can get a bigger piece of the pie, that's when things can really start to take off too. So we'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, I mean, how can it not be bullish, right? I mean, when big companies talk about buying that amount of anything, then all these other little ones like Ripple and all, they start saying, well, they'll probably buy us too. We better get it out, So it causes, again, here goes that snowball term, but it does. It causes people to try and front run everything, and which sparks green candles, which in turn gets more people to buy, which causes more green candles. It's the cycle that becomes the parabolic run. So.
Yeah. One thing's for certain, we have never seen this kind of institutional money in Bitcoin or crypto or Ethereum at all. So, going to be wild. We'll see how these things kind of trickle down over the course of this bull market. So that is what's going on with Trump. I think we have to cover the Sui stuff that happened a week ago. Was the day after we got off the air last week. And I, for one, am shocked that we haven't seen Richard Hart say anything about this yet, unless I missed it, but I don't think I did. But starting with the headline. So Sui, which is, I'm going to call it what it is. It's really a blockchain of the paid shills, kind of. I mean, it's not really a secret. I mean, it's been one of the big bloated blockchains, big, beautiful bill in crypto that a lot of people, a lot of crypto channels and stuff like that have been promoting for a long time. And it's the same old song and dance. There's another Aerosmith reference for you, DJ Moonboy. But it's the same thing that we've seen many times before, where, a big blockchain that had seed round investors. This is Sui's a layer 2, correct? If I'm not mistaken. Yes. Yeah. Yep. So a hack happens there last week on one of their DeFi trading platforms. It's not Cletus, but it is Cetus. It's not Fetus. It's Cetus, I believe is how it's pronounced, Cetus. So they have a hack on there. USDC on there goes to nearly zero. I sent you, you probably already have it up. Yeah, a pretty good comprehensive view of it. Many meme coins dropped like 99% in an instant, essentially. The Sui token, I think, was actually doing okay during all this. The hacker then actually bridged most of what he had to Ethereum, which, hey, maybe this whole thing's a net positive actually. But the thing is that DeFi platform Cetus freezes transactions so no one can then do anything else. Something that I think we can agree would just never happen on PulseChain, would not happen in this ecosystem, and should not happen in DeFi whatsoever. Well, first I'll look and see if there's anything else that he says here. I'll just read over real quick before we actually analyze this. So Sui CPO, that guy, reports that out of the estimated 220 million to 230 million stolen, around 150 million have been frozen and will be restored to Cetus pools soon. The root cause appears to be a smart contract bug. More updates to follow. Stay tuned. Is that the one I sent you? I don't know why. I thought I had I thought there was like a whole thread. Maybe
That's the one you sent me.
Okay.
I don't have much more other than that. I mean, there really isn't a whole lot to it, but essentially, Cetus is the liquidity provider for Sui. That is the part that got hacked. And about $230 million worth of funds were stolen. They did freeze it. And you're totally right. I mean, when somebody can freeze funds like that, it is not decentralized. They can, from what I even understand, they are able to return the money back to the wallets without any kind of acknowledgement from the people who stole it. So that's even crazier. Like, I don't understand how this is even possible unless it's just a glorified ledger, in which case, this is not any kind of DeFi. It doesn't even resemble DeFi at this point.
No.
And it's something to be very, very critical of. Now, yes, in a time like this where there's an exploit and hundreds of millions of dollars are stolen, yeah, it'd be nice to get your money back, right? But it just goes to show you that these guys can press buttons at will. And what if somebody else decides to become disgruntled or whatever, and they just start taking money from? I mean, it's possible, right? So this is one of the things where this is no different than a bank, really, that can just freeze your money, freeze your account, take your money, send it somewhere else if they want to, and you don't have anything. So, this isn't why crypto was invented. It was invented to get rid of these middlemen people that can do this type of thing. Now, yes, there's going to be exploits, and yes, there are going to be problems where you don't get your money back. So, that's why we always say you have to stay very, very safe and be careful with the things that you interact with. We'll talk about that as well, of how interacting with a website even can be a problem. But this is the total opposite of any kind of decentralized finance product out there, I think.
It's real bad. And I wanted to say, too, how ironic is it that this huge favored blockchain of the entire crypto industry, again, because many of them were paid to talk about it and print, we've seen them actually, like many identical articles about Sui with like the identical headline and all the marketing and things like that. And of course, their security is compromised. And then not only is the security compromised, again, like you just said, they can roll back the chain, freeze the assets, whatever it is they want to do. It's literally not crypto.
Yep.
I mean, it's heinous, honestly. But, newcomers to this industry that want to invest in it, look, and I'm not saying that money can't be made from a blockchain like Sui. Like, it certainly can. I'm sure the price will go up further in the bull market, blah, 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 blah. Do you want to be faced with stuff like this happening along the way? And when is it going to happen to you? That's the question. I'm not saying that you're going to hack something, but I mean, what if your funds are frozen or something like
Right.
that for whatever reason? It's a
Yep.
horrible precedent to set, you know?
Sure is. Yep.
Yeah.
Like I said, the opposite of DeFi. It's the opposite of what crypto was invented for. Digital Money Marcus mentioned that he believes there was a vote. Then you have to wonder who controls the votes. Is it all them?
Yeah.
Is it all of just the people that are there at Sui? Is it the community? Is it So yeah, I've seen other things have like a DAO type
Yeah.
vote of how to react when certain things happen, and people have a say. That's a little better, but just knowing that they can do this
Right.
is worrisome. I think that's the part that I worry about, is that they have the ability to just stop and freeze things. Um, you don't have that with all these validators in PulseChain. You've got 44,000 different validators. Now, how many different computers are they? That's another story, but it doesn't really matter. They're spread out all over the world. In order for something like this to happen, it just can't. So,
Yeah.
that's where the difference of actual true DeFi comes into play. So,
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely not good. And Duke of Booze, hey man, we really appreciate you for the super chat. Thank you
yep.
very much
Thank
for
you.
that. And I know you've been a frequent viewer of the channel, and I've followed you on Twitter and stuff like that too. So I appreciate you, buddy, and thank you for watching. So from one horrible exploit on the blockchain to another, and if you want to get into this curve finance thing, and I know you had sent me the couple of main posts about it. Now this happened about 2 weeks ago, so we'll cover this one quick too, but I sent those back to you, Ewok, if you wanted to look at this. But I mean, curve finance, I mean, this isn't something new. I mean, this is a multi-cycle thing here at this point, but they actually had their DNS hijacked from a couple of weeks ago. And I do remember this happening. We just didn't get a chance to cover it. But if you want to get into this topic, because this is a major platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So it said late last night, not again, this was 2 weeks ago, but it says late last night, the curve.fi domain was compromised at the DNS level. The exploit redirected traffic to a malicious IP not associated with Curve Finance. No smart contracts or internal systems were breached. The protocol itself is fully operational and secure. It goes on to say, we're actively working with the domain registrar to resolve the issue. So basically, the website that they had registered, somebody placed a hijacked one in there. And what it did was it rerouted them to another protocol that essentially took your keys, and it was attached to a wallet drainer.
Wow.
I'm trying to see if it gave any kind of explanation down here of what it did, but anyway, they got control of it back. Here's the next one. It said the DNS issue impacting Curve has been identified, being resolved. They switched the domain to curve.finance so that you could safely access it. Now, that doesn't stop somebody from doing this again. So the biggest takeaway from this is, I don't know if you guys all remember how many people bitched about the IPFS servers that Richard put in place.
I can think of one person in particular, but anyway.
Excuse me. There were a lot of them. Anyway, it was the one extra button, the one extra click that was just so terrible, so hard to deal with. But the good thing was you could download the program right to your desktop and run it right from there, which would have completely taken this out of the picture, right? If everybody's running their own software, their own secure, you don't have to go to a website that could be hacked. I mean, IPFS servers are harder to get into, I believe. I don't know what kind of security they had on their domain and on their DNS, but either way, they could still try to get into an IPFS server. So by downloading and running it from your desktop, you are so much more secure than any of this. So, just you guys have to understand how far ahead this guy thinks and tries to protect us from the things that could happen. And I think he made a post earlier in the week about it. It was one of the things that he said about, in order to solve future problems, we have to learn what today's are, or something like along those
Oh
lines. I
yeah,
forget how it went.
yeah, that was pretty much it.
But this is exactly what he's talking about. Things like this are what he's planned ahead for, with the downloadable front ends, so that you have it and it's on your desktop, and it cuts out all of the odds of this happening to you. So, just I can't stress enough how lucky we are to have somebody that is that thinks ahead, that he thinks so far ahead, so many steps ahead, to eliminate risks like this. So, yeah, I think it's pretty crazy, the people that lost their money because of they connected to a wallet drainer. I didn't see any totals. Did you end up seeing any totals about how many people actually, or how much money got taken
I
from
don't
people?
think.
I
No, I
didn't
don't
see a
think so.
report, but you can only imagine there's a lot of people that use Curve Finance. So it was a pretty rough one. But either way, my point being, that one extra click or two extra clicks to download it to your desktop. Think about this when your portfolio does a 50x from now, and you connect to a website and it gets drained.
Yeah.
It'll make you sick. It'll literally, anyway, you
Yeah,
get
you
where I'm
can't
going with
can't
it.
allow it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm totally with you. And yeah, we've both been a fan ever since there's been the ability to simply download and run the code for yourself on your PC. You and I have both been a fan of doing that. It's not difficult to do at all. It's like one or two extra clicks. Now, I understand the whole gripe that some people had about, like, how are you going to onboard people with stuff like that? Well, you don't have to do it that way. That's just the ultimate secure way to do it. That if you take this whole thing seriously, then you can. Plus, not only that, when things become popular, whenever there's green candles, people tend to figure out what they need to do to buy something. That's just kind of the way that nature goes. Kind of a catch 22 there. So, from a couple of corrupt things to maybe the worst corrupt thing here in a moment. So if you guys are here and enjoying the show so far, do us a favor and hit the like button. We appreciate you being here. Thank you to all of you in the chat. So we have seen a couple instances over the last 2 weeks, and it's not like this is a brand new phenomenon, but of not only USD Tether stablecoin, but also USDC. And I threw you, this is just one example of it, but Sami just tweeted about this USDC version today. But both of these stablecoins have made efforts to freeze people's funds with two big instances just over the last couple of weeks. So this one today from USDC, which is Circle, obviously, just blacklist froze $58 million of USDC. Somebody says, reminder that trash stablecoins like USDC and Tether have a blacklist function. They can delete your money instantly at will. If PulseChain, well, maybe I shouldn't read this part, but if PulseChain PDI confirms the prophecy, then it would be a greatly needed native decentralized stablecoin with a kill switch blacklist function available for authorities to disable to disable it and control civilians. But regardless of the PDI part, because I know some people got sand in their, right there. This is a valid question. So I sent this to you whenever I saw this post earlier today, and with seeing again increased instances of this, what are people supposed to? You just mentioned a minute ago talking about security. Like, okay, say your portfolio 50x's from here or something, and how careful you want to be about X, Y, and Z. Well, should we actually even be concerned about if you are selling maybe amounts of money that selling into stables that you've never even dreamt of in your lifetime, suddenly, which could be a reality for some people in the next 6 to 12 months. And you start holding a stable coin that, something could be blacklisted. They could not like an action that you took or something like that, not let you move your tokens around. We've also seen USDC depeg. Now, obviously that went right back to where it needed to be. And actually Richard Hart bought and some address we believe to be Richard Hart arbitrage that deal. But what do you make of this? Because I know a lot of people most people, I would say, probably use USDC when they onboard into crypto. Some people, if you don't use, for PulseChain's sake, like the Coast platform or something like that, many people will buy USDC on a Coinbase or whatever exchange you want to, and then bridge over to PulseChain. Now, you could also use Ethereum, of course. That's probably maybe more highly encouraged, but a lot of people like to get into stables. So, I mean, how freaked out are you, Ewok, about, if you could be selling, like, again, maybe amounts of monies that you've never seen in your life into these stable coins that have these blacklist functions, can do whatever they want because they have those functions. I mean, what would you be selling into? I know earlier to me you mentioned DAI. I think you missed the P in front of it, but yeah, I mean, we've got DAI, obviously, which we know a lot of people have been fans of, and it's been kind of the preferred stable coin of all of them. But we've seen on Ethereum, I mean, DAI has gone wayward as well. It now has backing of Circle. It has USDC backing it. And we always forget the name of it. Somebody will remind us in the chat, but it's called like Sundai or Sunny D something now. I forget what it's called. Yeah. But yeah, what do you do? I mean, it's worrying, and maybe you don't even go into stables. Maybe you go into ETH, maybe you go into Bitcoin. But I'm imagining some people want to realize this into some dirty fiat. But yeah, I don't know. What do you do?
Well, I think DAI is one of the better choices to go into a dollar, because Circle can't freeze the whole thing, right? It's only backed by, so I think when you look at the breakdown of what backs a DAI, is you've got about 20% USDC, 20% Tether, 20% there's another one. Tether, yeah. USD, I forget what it is. And then there's Bitcoin and Ethereum that also back it. So it's a compilation of 6 or 7 coins that actually hold and help peg that dollar. The other option you could do is take a loan. And if you want to use an actual decentralized dollar stable coin, then use one of the liquid loans or the I forget what there's one for Hex, there's one for PulseX, there's one for Incentive. So there are decentralized platforms out there that have a decentralized stable coin attached to them. So, if you really are worried about that, which, it is scary, right? If you have a couple $1 million and they can freeze it instantly, what do you do? It doesn't, like, I'm sure they have a terrible customer service over at Circle that will be like, oh yeah, we'll get that taken care of for you. If they froze it, there's a reason, right? So what is it? Is Dukabu said 34% of DAI is backed by USDC. So
yeah, I knew it was a significant amount.
Yeah. But again, USDC can't it's not enough to, like, they can't freeze it. So
I get what you're saying.
It's backed by a value, not by an actual token. So it is a little bit better of an option. But again, it's scary. I don't know what you would do other than use, like I said, one of the lending protocols that we have to sell off your token or create a loan against it and then bridge into something else. And I still say to this day, and I've said it for many, many weeks on several different shows, but I think that's one of the reasons why the treasury moved into Ethereum, because there was a risk of all of those funds getting frozen. And whether it was the Interpol or whether it was the SEC or somebody, all they had to do was make a phone call, and those $600-700 million at that point could have been frozen and turned off or hijacked or blacklisted or whatever it is. Whatever step they wanted to take, they could have done it. And I think that's why the move to Ethereum was made. And now we hold or not we, but that entity holds 166,000 of them. At one point was 71 or 72. So yeah, it's a scary thing. But again, the best way to handle it right now is potentially use one of the lending protocols. You can mint some of the decentralized stable coins that exist, and then trade them out slowly as you need them. Use Coast. That is a viable off ramp that is tied 1-to-1 to it. So, hopefully you get a good rate. It's been about 98 cents recently. They say they're fixing it, but hopefully we can get that pegged closer to $1 when that happens. Now I know in the past, a stable coin, if it's worth 98 cents, then you should get more of them. I don't know if it's that way on the way out. I know it's not that way on the way in. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But, losing 2 cents on every dollar may still be better than taking a risk and getting your entire account frozen.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, though, because I was going to bring up the Coast thing, too. Like, as an alternative, like, you could just very quickly go into USD, like, literally just USD on Coast, and then transfer it into your Old Glory bank account, assuming that, or actually, you don't even have to have Old Glory now. I guess you could have whatever bank that you want to, but I know we went the Old Glory route, too. But correct me if I'm wrong, and I'd have to really look at Coast to remember this, but could you not, if you wanted to actually just avoid the Coast, the CST stable, and with the case that you're talking about with that little arbitrage amount that we're seeing right now, can't you, even though we're shitting on USDC and all this right now, couldn't you sell into one of those other stables and just turn that into USD? I think you can do that on Coast, can't you? Or do you have to go into CST? I think you don't. I think you can just go from a stable to USD and then transfer whatever you want to your Old Glory account.
Yeah, but you still then have to put it into USDC or USDT, I believe. One of those two.
And that correct, but I was just kind of saying, like, you can get out of it quickly though if you want to. Like maybe you could just do that, get it out of there
within minutes. Yes. So you can do that, and I think you have a higher limit. It may only be a daily limit of $100,000 on Coast if you have Old Glory account. If you don't, it is less. So that is the benefit of having an Old Glory account hooked up to Coast protocol. So I think it's a 10x more per day that you can transact. So
I don't think it can be understated enough. Like Coast, for one thing, onboarding right now is very good. I don't think it can be stated enough how valuable that can be at getting out, actually. Like, or if you want to move some funds out, having your Old Glory bank set up. I mean, to be able to be in on the blockchain and then move out of it if you want to into fiat, into Old Glory. I mean, I think that's invaluable. Exactly.
Under a minute.
Invaluable, because otherwise you're talking about all this other super trusted routes you're going to have to go. You're going to have to hold those stables longer. You're going to have to go through an exchange, which that's probably the most terrifying part.
Yeah.
I hope they let you take your money and put it into a bank, So I don't think it can be overstated, I guess I should say, how great Coast would be for moving off of the ecosystem too, if you did. But
and if you haven't, I recommend getting it set up now. So and use it a little bit, so you're familiar with the the systems and how it works, and take a little bit in and take a little bit back out. I mean, you're going to pay a little bit in fees, but you're going to be so much more prepared when the time happens. That it's totally worth it, and you can move pretty quickly through the whole process. And like I said, you can do it in under a minute, under 2 minutes, even on the weekends. I've had it go through very, very quickly. So hats off to those guys. They continue to do good stuff.
Definitely hats off to them.
About them.
I agree. I do want to acknowledge this from Digital Money Markets. The Coast account has a dollar balance. When I go from Old Glory, they straight into Core Coins without having to buy their stable coins. That is true. You can do that, but I would encourage you to do the math whenever you're swapping straight from, and I'm just for transparency's sake to let people get the best deal. And again, the best deal may not be important to you when you're talking about increased security, which Coast does provide. So feel free to not care about what I'm about to say, but you could go that route and just do the swap straight on Coast. But I would encourage you to look at how much pulse you're getting for your dollars and then compare it to almost any DEX compared to that. And you're getting less, is what I have seen so far. So maybe that won't be true for you. Maybe that's changing, but usually there's a spread that's a bit higher than I want to pay. And, depending, it's up to the user. Like I said, it's a balancing thing. If the increased security and dealing with Coast is better for you, and maybe you onboarded a lot of money in the other scenario and you feel like you're not getting the amount of tokens you want to get, then you can go a different route. It's up to you, but I would check the math on that just in case. So,
good stuff.
Yeah. Sorry.
I said good stuff. RH
Yes.
Max says I've got a new PulseChain marketing project coming up. Stay tuned.
We will stay tuned. We know that you're a man that delivers on your word with the new conference and stuff. So good stuff, RH Max. Yeah, Crypto 7's been saying that Ethereum's pumping. I mean, I don't know that I'd call it pumping, but it is green and Bitcoin's red. So that is nice. Maybe this will be the start of the Ethereum rocket ship taking off. So I think that pretty much wraps up our conversation about the stables, though. And it's going to be a big thing to be looking at in the as we get into the bull market here. So yeah, I think he's pushing 2,700 or so here. So.
Yeah, what's interesting is it did break out of that little flag that I had drawn earlier. I don't know, am I still sharing it? Yeah. So it barely broke out right here of the channel. So we'll see. We'll see if it can hold. We still have to hit this. We're creeping up on this 200 EMA. So let's which it's bounced off of 3 or 4 times, what I think is what's causing this. So let's see if it can continue to break through that. Good stuff.
Yep. That's going to be a key area. So good stuff for sure. I tell you what, I don't know if we'll end up ending on this, but I really want to cover that post that we saw. Well, I don't even know. You probably won't even have the original post. It's probably going too far back now. Of that, the dude that posted that big depressive thing about PulseChain, and then I thought that Richard had a tweet today that was pretty good.
I don't
kind of
have the original. I don't think I have the original. I can probably search.
I think I do.
It.
No, I think I have a bookmarked, and I'll send it to you real quick here. Because I do think I just love talking about like this mindset stuff and keeping your head on a swivel and having this good long-term view and just the mental aspect of investing like in this market. And I just think that this was a good character study. Now, when this post did come out from this individual, I did send it to you, and he then deleted it later, which I understand because it was pretty expressive, I guess I'll say. I did notice that Sami had taken a snapshot of it though and saved it, so we were able to still access it. And I just sent that to you again now.
Got it.
And I think it's relevant today, especially because Richard Hart also made a post today that reminded me of this mindset from this person. So, it's important to try to keep perspective whenever we are in markets, especially tough crypto markets like this that we've been in right now, which, I will say, I haven't felt, overly depressive or down about these prices for a little while now, because we have been seeing some positive things happening here. But this was the post from the person, and I don't remember who, what the handle was, and it really doesn't matter. So he said, swear to God. Yeah. He said, swear to God, if EHEX doesn't pump now, is that actually the start of it? I thought,
yep.
I don't know. Seems like it doesn't make sense. Okay. Must be nice to be filthy rich and not live check to check every week. Probably the dumbest thing I ever did in my life was put my life savings into EHEX and HEX on May 1st, 2021. Second dumbest was staking majority of that for 3 to 5 years. Now here I am scraping by month to month, barely breathing from debt. All while some people are sitting from their comfy, warm homes, watching little peons like me feed off of crumbs on the street, laughing away while sitting on their high throne. Some people don't have the luxury of waiting at Richard Hart. Then he says, fucking do something about it. It's been 4.5 years. And I do know, well, maybe I shouldn't even say this. I just remember this from, I looked at the comments and then there was talk of like self-harm and stuff like that. And that he'd probably even screw that up or something. I mean, it was extremely dark. It was just one of those that I remember sharing with you because it was just, you usually don't get that raw of a post from somebody. And again, the person since deleted it. So it seemed to me like one of those mental weak moments that maybe you need the cathartic experience of typing it out to get it out of your head or something. Sure. And whoever that person is, if they're watching this right now, like I certainly don't judge them for it or, you know, hold any resentment against them or anything. And you can look at this post, I think, and call this person like you're being a victim or this or that. But I think it was a point of weakness evidenced by it also being deleted. But I guess I would just want to talk to you because there's been a lot of dark moments over the last few years, like having a mindset like this, how you get through stuff like that. And just trying to keep proper perspective because I think I keep saying about having a good perspective, but it's easier said than done. Like I forget because of, you know, some of the fortunes that you and I have, Ewok, of like our families, the things that we do in our personal lives. Not that our lives are by any means perfect, but some people don't even have that. Like some people are very alone. And sometimes that's how I think those thoughts can get in and not go away kind of. So I guess just kind of talk about like getting through that mindset and how you last basically, you know, because to me, I remember the thing I said to you is after I read that, because he was saying other things in the comments, like if I were just rich already, blah, 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 blah. And I was thinking, I don't think you're going to be happy even if you make the money that you think you're going to make. Like it seems like something else is severely wrong here, but I'm just wondering what you make of all that.
Well, and I think I commented as well on this person's post and said something like, man, you've made it this far. We're almost there. Just hang in there a little bit longer. And I think the comment was, well, how do you know? And I said, well, I don't know, but I know how cycles work. And, you know, if it's anything like last cycle, you'll be thankful that you did wait and that you didn't do anything drastic, as I forget how I said it, but along those lines. So, yeah, I mean, the mental toughness to deal with this, it's not easy, and I get it. I mean, there are some people in some dark places, and yeah, Mr. Chinks, absolutely. It's one of the hardest things to stomach through. It really is, and have a positive outlook on it. And yeah, the money only amplifies exactly who you are. It makes, if you're an asshole, you're going to be a bigger asshole that just has money. If you're a generous person, then you'll probably end up doing a lot of charity stuff. I mean, again, it amplifies whoever you already are. So I hope people that are struggling, you know, even if it just puts food on the table for them, for some people, maybe that would be the blessing that they need. And but a lot of times it doesn't fix the problems. It creates different ones, unfortunately. So
yeah.
People have a chance now to work on themselves and get in a better place. Hopefully, talk to somebody. You know, there are. I mean, I know even if you're not doing well, there are places that will see you for therapy and things like that that are covered, and you know, you can be taken care of, especially if you're thinking about harming yourself. There's a lot of help groups out there that can, you know, get you through the rough times and talk you through them and give you a different outlook, and, you know, gives you different things to be thankful for. So Yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot. It's a tough spot. Yes, we are both lucky enough to have families and kids, and you know, but there are some people that don't have any of that, and they're very alone. And when things are down in the markets, it really it makes it tough. That will amplify it as well. When you think every time you buy in and it just continues to go down a little bit further, that does not make it any easier. So um, yeah, it's a tough thing to talk about. You don't want anybody to go through those things or harm themselves in any way. And sometimes you probably worry that you're going to say the wrong thing. Um, I think a lot of times those people just need someone to talk to. They just need a friend, or they want someone to listen to them, and um, maybe share an experience or something along those lines. So it's hard. It's a very hard thing, and yeah, I just hope people that need it can get the help that they want. So
That's why I actually am on the side of him making that post, because I think he probably obviously needed to do it. You know what I mean? To get out
yeah,
whatever that he needed to. We're assuming it's a guy, but who knows? But yeah, I that's why I think it was probably good that he did it. And yeah, sometimes you just need to get that shit out and say it. Maybe even to just realize, like, what the fuck am I saying here? Or like, you kind of hear yourself reflected back to you, and you realize, where you're actually at. And yeah, sometimes you just need to get that out, talk to somebody else if you're kind of with yourself all day long. But if you wanted to pull up, I sent you RH's post from today, and this isn't linked to that post of this person in any way, but he did say something today that just kind of made me harken back to this from that individual from a couple of weeks ago. I think well, I don't know if it was the only RH thing I sent you, but it was from today though. So yeah. Yeah. So he says, many know much and do little. One's goals must attract action, and one's actions attract knowledge. All the knowledges you let in that never did work for you took up the valuable space of knowledges that wanted to work for you. One's mind is like a magnifying glass to the sun. It only makes a difference when it's focused. Focus is the denial of attention to that which doesn't guide you to victory. Think of how useless the last 100 things you let into your mind were. Focus on what matters. Focus your time. Stop doom scrolling and do something. What you get done will be there for you. What you scrolled will not. Spread the word about something great or create. And yeah, I don't think I could have said it better. And that's a huge thing too, is just taking some kind of action of any type, like whatever it is, instead of sitting there ruminating, thinking about the same shit over and over and over. If there's no thing you can reach out and touch and change, like in this example where the person's upset because of their PulseChain or hex bags or whatever, if you've made a deal with yourself that, like, well, I'm in this, I can't sell, it would be objectively stupid to sell or end stake or whatever it is. Okay, well, you're not going to do that. So let's move on. There's no reason to keep suffering about that decision because your mind's made up. You already made a decision. So what can I do to make it better? Whether that is, what you want to invest in something else with new money that you're bringing in. Do you want to, get a better job or somehow increase the money flow that you have? Figure out ways that you can live more minimally to save more money, create something. I know Hexo, yeah, in this thread said something about you guys need to start streaming, whatever, some kind of action to take. It doesn't matter what it is to help better yourself. Sometimes it's just a distraction. Sometimes it's not even like, oh, I got to hustle, grind set, shit like that. Sometimes it's not that. It could just be something to distract you until your goals are met. But you've got to take some kind of action,
yeah.
At the very least to distract yourself, I think. So
Yeah, the most important thing I think is the doom scrolling. Stop doom scrolling. People do that so often, and they get enveloped in what's going on, and they get the wrong um they attract the wrong energies, I think. If you're not, I've been lucky that I've muted some people a long time ago that talk a lot of crap about things that I don't care about, don't want to hear about. They're always negative. I just mute them. I don't have to see it. If you can create that positive energy around you and the people that you follow, even if you don't agree with them and they're positive about it, it makes a big difference, and you can have good discourse then with people that are positive, right? Like I said, you don't have to agree with them, but the positivity is the thing that definitely can pick you up. So yeah, I agree. And neither one of us are builders, so we decided, well, let's talk about it. Let's stream. Let's stream every week about what we like and what we enjoy. I mean, that's the way we contributed. So yeah, he's totally right on hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I think you just have to identify what your skills are, and if there's other ones that you want to develop to, if you wanted to become a builder and you're not, you could research things like that and develop the skills. But if you think your skills lie elsewhere, max those out as much as you can. I mean, look at a guy like RH Max, speaking of the word Max, who was able to cultivate running a new conference like that with his connections and stuff like that. That's what his skill was. So, yeah.
I'm hurt by Viper Styles thinking I'm 76 though. I mean
78, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm only a few years older. He's 45. I'm only a few years older than him.
No, I'm younger than him.
It's the beard. It's the beard. I know. It gets me.
Yeah. Well, you got to let that thing go. I tried growing mine out. I've done this, I don't know how many times in my life now. I have let my beard go for weeks and I get pissed off and trim it every single time. I don't know what. And now I have the first time
grow a beard.
No, I can. Trust me. I can grow a beard. I can grow hair with the best of it. Believe you me, I can grow hair. I just don't like it. It just feels weird. It gets itchy. And I got a couple of little grays peeking in down here, but excuse me, character. But yeah, I thought it was good that we finally went over that post from a couple of weeks ago. I just thought it was cool. Yeah, sexy beardy walk. So
yeah, I know. We'll shave it off one of these days.
One of these days. I don't know if you should. I don't think I would. I wouldn't even recognize you. Okay. I think that pretty much wraps up that topic. So shout out to that guy. If you are watching, we got your back. Take action. Distract yourself, whatever it is you need to do to feel better. We're with you. All right. Do you have any kind of final thoughts tonight, Ewok?
I don't think so. I said, actually, I will bring this up because I had sent it to you. There is this area in Honduras that's called Prospera. I sent you the video link. It reminded me of, a lot of us talked about creating Hexaco and what that would look like. And if you get a chance to look it up, it's called Prospera, Prospera. It's a specialized area in Honduras. There is a YouTube video about it and the things that they're doing there. I thought it was pretty cool to share with you guys about what Hexaco may look like, or something to think about, and or at least think about what you do and don't like about it. And I thought it was pretty cool. So if you get a chance, check it out. Just look up Prospera Honduras video. I thought it was pretty neat, and we can all dream about having our own area that is our own government, and things that are that we created, and the rules that we abide by are what we set up, and we don't have to listen to a government, things like that. I thought it was pretty cool. So anyway, just check it out if you get a chance.
Shout out Prospera. Good name, Prospera. I like it. Yeah. Hexaco coming soon. We really appreciate all of you guys. Great stream tonight. Viper Styles, DJ Moonboy, Mr. Chink, Shadow Band, Hex Girl. Yeah, that's right. She said if you didn't see this, you're shaving when PDOT gets to $1. So that'll be in a couple of months here, I think. Let's see. We've got.
I'll make that deal with you.
Okay. Digital money markets. Now, no more bets in the Hex community. Okay, no more public bets of owing anybody money, and then all of a sudden I need a few weeks to get my shit together. And
mine's not money. I can shave.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, you never know. Maybe you're so attached to that beard, you get off Twitter for a while, you don't come back. Who knows? Yeah, Mr. Chinks, Tam, of course. Thank you for being here. Duke of Booze, just a great stream tonight. We appreciate all of you guys each and every week. We will be back next week. It will be June. We are so close to summertime here. Will be June. We'll see what other developments we have. Will June be a great month for the crypto market? We are seeing ETH start to perk up a little bit here tonight, so we shall see. Yep. We will catch you guys next week. My name, of course, as it's always been, is Blippy Boy Crypto. And for Crypto Ewok, this has been the Creed of Crypto. We'll see you guys.
See ya.